So it took me a while to decide that I was actually going to share this, but you know what? Social media a lot of times only shows the positive and fun stuff, and that's not life. So here it is.
All right, so today, talk a little bit about gear because I'm fucking up. I actually left my good gloves at home. Actually, not even that I left my good gloves at home.
Ride a motorcycle with me.
I actually left my good gloves at home. Actually, not even that I left my good gloves at home. I lost one of my favorite gloves. You know, a pair of gloves that kind of gone through thousands and thousands of miles with me, which were just black Harley fingerless gloves. Nothing special. I know, not the most appropriate for, you know, really good gear safety. And unfortunately, I did grow up in a biker community that really wasn't that all gear all the time mentality. So I'm still working on convincing myself to, you know, upgrade my gear. I mean, hell, my dad still doesn't wear a helmet because Florida helmet laws aren't really like a thing like that. So I do recognize that, you know, our body safety, you know, that we have to all make choices, and body autonomy is really important to me. I mean, I really don't believe you should be telling another human what to do with their body, but within reason, to keep safe, I do always wear a helmet. I used to not. I rode for a very long time without one, and then I had a kid, and I realized as soon as he was getting older, he could see that mommy did not wear a helmet, and I did not want to be that person. Now, every woman, especially those that decide to have children, have to decide, you know, when in their pregnancy they may or may not stop riding, and, you know, how, I mean, every parent also, you know, how they want to promote personal rider safety to their children. But I do, like, for myself and the child sitting behind me, he sees that I'm wearing my full face helmet, and you know what, for his Three Kings gift, I mean, we celebrate Three Kings, his Three Kings Day gift, he got a new helmet this year because, you know, he kind of grew out finally of the old one that he had, you know. That preteen growth spurt is kind of annoying because he's almost as tall as I am now. But I really do hate that I left with my gloves, because I do think gloves are your second most important thing besides boots. But yeah, there's all my biker babes.
Yeah, exactly. You pulled up next to me and I had my music.
All right. Looks like 15 of us today. See what this car's doing. We are rolling like 15 deep today. Big group rides are a thing, guys. Really important for riders' safety when there is a lot of you. And the biggest thing today will be making sure that everybody is good. Alright, so I'm taking the girls through Windermere, and then a little bit of Winter Garden, out to Mount Verde, and that's when we're going to end up, I guess, more Central Florida and end up in Tavares for this Twisted Biscuits. I hate sometimes Orlando lights because when you have this many in a row, it can be a little annoying. To make sure everybody makes it their way safely through. And because some of these roads, they're a little bigger than using a block, so we already got separated ones. But you know, these people know what they're doing, and it kind of worked out really well. Alright, so one of the things that's super important to me is obviously the women's motorcycling community. And it's important for a couple things. As women, it's definitely, this is kind of a man's world to a certain degree. And I like that women connecting with other women that enjoy motorcycling. It's pretty amazing. They're some of the coolest people that I've ever met in my life. And I really enjoy other women that understand why we like what we like. And this cobblestone, everybody's going to hate me for taking them too, but it's okay.
So I think it's safe to say that today's ride did not go as planned. We intended on rolling up to a restaurant called Twisted Biscuits about an hour and a half after we departed the gas station we met at, and we made it about 30 minutes in. One of the roads that I knew you're taking us on does have a series of lights that are all timed absolutely terribly. And when we ride in a large pack, a lot of times I'll have a mid that will stop the second half, from going forward if, the light system is not working out. Because as I said, I don't really like us running lights, and blocks aren't really always the safest option. So if we separate, at least, we can cardo back ourselves together or whatever it may be, or can slow roll for them. However, in this case, without going into too much detail, that stop did not occur like a stop should typically happen. And the girl behind our mid unfortunately did not stop. This ran her, kind of sideswiped her into, the bike in front of her, and kind of pinned her foot in between her shifter peg and the girl's engine guard. And thankfully, I only had one girl down. The injuries did not seem too horribly severe, but obviously anytime you have a crash, I'm a big fan. Go ahead, call the emergency services, get cops out there, take care of the people that you ride with. They are your people. And guys were out there before I could even do a U-turn to get back to my girl. And, they bandaged her up and shipped her on off to RMC. What I had done, I did want to talk to everybody that was on that ride before we planned our course of action. I think that's the thing, is everybody responds to challenges and trauma a little bit differently, and I think we need to all respect that. And if I hear from another person why they don't ride on group rides is because safety, but you know what? This chick had, a dozen and a half other bikers there to take care of her and make sure she was okay versus sitting in the middle of the road with, some random car rear-ending her. But either way, that's another story altogether, and, have your opinions, so be it. But we were able to take care of her, send her off. I sent 4 of the girls with her to the hospital. Obviously, you cannot have 20 bikers sitting outside of triage, so, we can't all go. And then a couple people, because we had been waiting there so long for EMS and making sure she was set, running an hour late, they had other prior commitments and dipped out appropriately at that time. I made sure to arrange her bike to be picked up and towed back to her house, which was over an hour away, and spoke to a few others that did insist that we continue the ride, mainly because we did have another rider we were supposed to meet at, and I would have hated to, stood up that other rider for a 5-hour round trip as well. And at that point, there was nothing else, some of those girls could do. And for a little bit of mental health, not to scare people, sometimes you just have to get back on the bike, and I do believe that was kind of an important part for some of those. So, we had a big separation on what we were all planning on doing, and I led the remaining 6 of us up to Twisted Biscuits, met up with the other rider. After that, I did swing back, drop my kid off at the house, and head up to the hospital, and I personally escorted my rider her back to her home, as I said, like a little over an hour away anyway. So everybody was taken care of this day, mentally and physically, but I'm going to tell you, it was really draining, and you never really know what you're going to do in these situations until they actually happen. And not that I want it to happen to anybody, but I do think to mentally prepare yourself as best you can from some of these situations that can happen. I'm just so thankful that I did have a first responder riding with us today. As being a nurse, she knew exactly what to do, and our first responders here in Orlando were incredibly fast. I do believe that kind of community is incredibly important. And thankfully, that rider, she's on the mend. Her bike is on the mend, probably faster than she will be, mind you, because we're getting that done. But it's really important to us to make sure that, all these people are taken care of. And yeah, that's where we're at. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the GoFundMe for this rider in the description below. So if you guys have $1 or $2 to kind of help her out, medical expenses for stuff like this, they add up real quick. And, she's a single mama too, and she's an all-around awesome human being. And I'd love that if anybody had the opportunity to give her a little bit of a help out, that would be great. Thanks, guys.